What's up, guys? We are back. What a crazy weekend. I mean, there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to talk about, Chris.
There is.
But you know what? I want to first shout out to Joanne Fields and Phil Am Friendship Day in San Diego, because those events and those things and that type of representation and that type of presentation and cooperation within our own Filipino American community is what it's all about. Yeah. And it's what Miscellaneous and Brown is all about. Miscellaneous Brown is all about what everything is all about. It's about creating community and building that community, and hopefully doing that through the government, and also, you know, just in general, just building community. And we did that very, very well at the Phil Am Friendship Day this past Saturday. And shout out to Joanne Fields and Rachel Kako and Marnie, and also all the folks that bought Miscellaneous Brown merch.
Nice.
I was tripping on how many people bought hats, and it was really nice. It was a very, very great day, and I'm looking forward to next year.
Well, tell us about it. Like, for those that don't know what the Friendship Day is all about. And I mean, like, we've heard you hosting a number of things, but this one I'm particularly excited about because I've been trying to get down there for the last 3 years since Joanne started it. But tell us about it. What's the festival like? Were there like musicians, a lot of food, I'm guessing?
Oh, it was great, man. I mean, first and foremost, I was so happy to see my homie from the Mini Pacquiao days, AJ Raphael. Shout out to AJ. He's playing the lead role in Tick Tick Boom at the Signet Theater in San Diego down there. And so he was kind of the kickoff of the event. He sang one of his original songs, you know, because AJ's, I mean, he's our pop star, man. He's awesome. Yeah. But he also had his castmates with him from Tick Tick Boom, and they were plugging that. And it was great because I was able to, during the procession, be like, if you guys want Filipino Americans on stage, you got to support Filipino stories on stage. So go show your love and buy tickets to Tick Tick Boom. And he was really appreciative of that. And I hope he's appreciative of this, because I want that show to sell out. I mean, how awesome is that? You know, it's a play based on one of the best musicians ever, Jonathan Larson, right? His life and his experiences before he wrote Rent. And, you know, AJ is literally in that age too. And he's got his hair all permed up and to the side. He looking like Filipino Killmonger is what I told him. But no, that was a really great moment. But other great moments, like Ryan, shout out to Ryan at Illa Manila. Those guys, because when I said, yo, we got Ube World coming out at 7:28 back at Mic Drop, and we gotta pass out these tickets. He's like, oh well, let's shout out a trivia thing at the booth, and you can have them give away tickets at our booth, and we'll get. And man, I think we passed out like 600 tickets that day at Phil Am Friendship Day for Ube World, which is great, because Ube World is, I mean, straight up, it's fast becoming one of the biggest Filipino American comedy shows in SoCal. And shout out to Mikey Perry. I love that cat. He's like my little brother. And so I'm gonna do everything I can to support him and do everything I can to help him sell out Ube World. So yeah, man, it was a great day. It was a really great day. It's always a great day in San Diego, man. I love the community in San Diego.
What's the venue? I know the first one, wasn't it at Petco? Is it still at Petco Park, or did they move it?
No. It's at NTC Park, which is the Naval Training Center. Oh, so wow. There were like old naval guns right by my merch booth. I was like, who's tripping? Oh man. No, but it's on a naval base, because, you know, the Filipino American naval community is deep in San Diego. Right. So Joanne Fields was able to get that space, and that's the space that we've had the past 3 years. So that's where I've hosted it the past 3 years. It's like there's only a few places in California, because I've been there in repeated times, where I can actually, I know where I'm going. And NTC Park is one of them, because I've been there 3 years in a row. It's great.
Nice. That's very Filipino to have it like on a Navy base. Because
shout out to you, Chris, by the way, with your Hawaiian shirt. You said you're going to be, where are you going? And you said you're going to be going to Hawaii next week.
Yeah, we've been planning this vacation for a while with my family. We're going to go on we've only been to Oahu, And so my wife was like, hey, can we like check out the other islands? And so we found a nice little cruise that's going to take us to a few islands, and then we're going to end up at Koalina. So we'll be staying out there for the second week, and so it'll be just a nice little trip, meeting up with some family friends out there, and yeah, just gonna appreciate this. Just enjoying some of my downtime before I get back into a full-time gig, whatever that's going to be. But right now, just appreciating all the time I'm going to have with my son since he's home from college, and just love being in Hawaii. My wife has family out there, so it's always a nice little homecoming for us. And so just going to appreciate it. Grateful for everything. So yeah, that's why I'm wearing this.
That's good, man. That's good. My family, I have some family out there too. My sister opened up a broom street in Oahu, in Honolulu, right? In
Oh, yeah.
Honolulu and Oahu. Yeah, so there's
Yeah.
a broom street in Oahu. So if you go into Oahu, I think it's in the what's the name of the
The mall.
I know it's in a fancy mall. I can't remember the name of it.
Ala Moana. Well, text me the name. Just send me the name.
I'll text you all the information. I'll send it to you on Instagram, and you should go through and check it out, because Broom Street is out there. I think they got, if I'm not mistaken, I think they got 2 out there now. I'm not sure how much they've been growing so much since I last worked there, but shout out to them. They're out there doing their thing in Hawaii too. So Hawaii is a beautiful place, man, because Hawaii, brown faces are not the minority in Hawaii.
I know.
We are the majority there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It feels kind of nice.
It's so nice. Yeah. It's yeah, I'm looking forward to that part where it's just like, I mean, aside from just the culture itself, being by the beach, just being on North Shore, I just feel at home, but being around like people, our people, in that very specific way, it's so comforting. But will your sister most likely be at the shop if we drop by? Or no? Okay.
Nah, they run it from afar. Now they got the workers doing the work. Now they're full on capitalists, which is good for them. I mean, but no, that would be a very good coincidence if you walked into Broom Street and my sister or my brother-in-law were actually in the shop. Okay. Just because, I mean, that's how you want to have it. I mean, you want to have a business that runs itself, and that's what they've created. In both, they still have the ones that are running here in LA too, so they're doing very well for themselves, and I'm happy for them. I'm also happy that I'm no longer working there, just because I have the freedom to do the things that I want to do, which is great as well. So it's all good, man. Awesome. But enough about us, right? You about to go to Hawaii. I was just in San Diego. I'll probably be in San Diego again. But this week has been a very eventful week in pop culture and politics, I will say.
Did something happen? Was there something that happened over the weekend?
You texted me about it during the Phil Am Friendship Day. You said, "Oh my God, his supporters are going to be insufferable after this," and you are correct. I mean, and they are. I mean, and you knew it. You expected it. There was some of them blame Biden. He ordered it. He put in the order. One of the congressmen on Twitter, or X, or whatever the hell you want to call that stupid app that I deleted after Elon bought it. But then you got Wilbert talking about all the things, all the stupid, just
stupid. Yeah.
I can't. I get it. Okay, he was shot. Is it? I'm not gonna on our podcast be out here advocating for violence, because of course it's not. That's at the end, we don't want to have a political climate where there's violence, because that's not it's not feasible. It doesn't work, especially in our form of government with democracy, where everybody gets to say it. Supposedly all men are created equal. Violence doesn't work with it. It just doesn't work.
We've seen what it looks like around the world. I mean, it's just it's horrible that we should.
And at the end of the day, this has been this. You could have predicted this. When when you support, and remember he said, "I'll pay for your bills, your legal bills if you beat up somebody who's going to throw a tomato," in his first rallies in 2016, and the people that got beat up at his rallies in 2016, and then good people on both sides during Charlottesville, and I mean, then January 6th, can we?
Yeah.
4 years ago, January 6th, we're talking about a bunch of people motivated to violence. For the first time ever, there was a Confederate flag on the Capitol, in the Capitol,
Yeah.
in U.S. Congress, in the House of Congress. There was a Confederate flag, and I mean, you think that it, eventually someone who's not right is gonna not be motivated to do something? I mean, it was inevitable,
Yeah.
and then you throw in COVID and all the other mishaps and terrible tragedies that happened under his watch, and that elicits a lot of emotion out of a lot of different people, and a lot of different things happen. So I mean, the shooter's a registered Republican, so you can't even say, oh, I mean, Chris, to be real and honest, I was just, whenever something bad happens to an older white man, I'm always just like, please, 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 please don't let it be a brown dude.
Yeah.
That's just in the same way that I believe it was. I think D.L. Hughley would say the same thing. Please, please don't let it be a black dude. Like in every case, in a minority group, when something really bad happens like this, when there's an assassination attempt, or there's a school shooting, or a mass shooting, you always are like, please, 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 because I know how much flack we got from 9/11. Man, I had people side-eyeing my backpack and book bag for 5 years after that fucking event, because I was a brown guy in Chicago, in the Midwest. So I know how it feels, to be profiled and all that stuff. So I don't know, man. It's when you ask for violence, you're going to get violence. And I think that's basically that's the result of what happened with Trump. And as far as whether it was a thing where, the only thing I'm going to say is, I don't know where that Secret Service gets off letting him put his head back up, even though they didn't know whether there was another active shooter. He had already taken a shot to the ear, and then they still let him put his head up and fist at that. I mean,
in no way he was stronger than them to be able to do that. They can't be like, oh, he put his arm up because he's stronger. Like, no, he's a almost 80-year-old man. You have like these, like the fittest people in the world protecting you, who can probably run like hella fast, jump hella high. Like, these are super individuals. And do you see the shot? There's also a shot of a picture of, on the side when he did that, his torso was like wide open. Like, you could just see his white shirt, and right below it was one of the female agents right below it. He's just right there. It's like, and so everyone's wondering, how is Secret Service leaving this target wide open right after, like,
and not even that. How is he allowed to put them in so much danger?
Yeah.
Whether or not they knew that one active shooter was gone, because you hear it when you watch the video. You hear, the audio of him saying the active shooter is down, but you don't know whether you obviously didn't secure the area well enough. You don't know if there's a second shooter. So I don't know why you would think to let this man who's just been shot at stick his head up and yell, "Fight, fight, fight." It was a very strange Secret Service move for me. That's the question I'll put out there.
Yeah.
As far as that goes, I don't want misfortune on anybody. Political beliefs are political beliefs. This is not again, in our country, our way of government, and our form of government, and having people who disagree with you sit next to you in Congress and in office. Violence just doesn't work. It just doesn't. So however we do this, you just got to kind of figure it out. The only thing that really bothers me about the whole thing is that pictures are worth 1,000 words. And some of those pictures are pretty damn infamous. They're going to go down in infamy for sure, whether or not Trump wins the election, which is, now it's in question because you got the Democrats still infighting, and you've got a very big event that's going to, galvanize the Republican. They've already galvanized behind them. Some of them are accusing Biden of a hit. So like, they've already galvanized behind him, where we're still talking about, oh, we got to replace the old guy because he was bad at the debate. I just, as articulate and as smart and as revered as I have George Clooney, like, keep that shit to yourself, homie. Don't say that. That's stupid. That was a stupid move. All these moves where we're fighting amongst ourselves. We do this shit all the time. The primary is over, guys. Yeah. There's no functional way other than Joe Biden stepping down and or, being physically unable to perform the office and Kamala assuming the office. That's the only way it works, guys. It's the only way in the Constitution. That's the only way legally we can do this, unless you want to have open convention. And we've already talked about how that worked when we had an open convention and there were riots in Chicago. Please don't mess up my city. Please. I'm not trying to have, we would like to very much go. We're looking for sponsors to where we could be part of the DNC, unless y'all are trying to act a fool and have open convention, because then I'm going to stay my ass in California, because that would be a dumb, you're just asking for problems. You're just asking for mad problems if you're asking for open convention.
Remind us again what Clooney said.
Well, he was just basically saying that he loved Joe. It was basically your it's your standard now after the debate, your standard respectful diss of the debate. Where basically we're like, we love him, I respect him, he's honored, he's a great president, but he's lost a step, and we should really think about finding a replacement. That was his basic argument. Mm-hmm. And again, doesn't provide a context to which we could do this. There's no, here, I'll give $100 million of Ocean 11 money to Gavin Newsom, and I want to, nothing like that. Just throwing that Pandora's box of a bullshit article out into the ether and putting doubt into the air and giving this headline hungry media something to run with. Mm-hmm. And it's just, I've almost stopped watching the news, other than just like headlines and give me the facts that I kind of can digest on my own, because the way y'all interpret it is just pissing me off at this point. Yeah. That's another reason why we have this show. Hopefully that we find some like-minded people that are, kind of frustrated the way that news is being discussed and talked about, because at the end of the day, there's no choice in this election. You got an agent of chaos, which has been proven by exactly what we saw this weekend. This is an agent of chaos. This is whether it was his campaign doing something crazy to make him look more masculine, or it was an actual, oh, and by the way, let's send our condolences to the people that were actually killed and hurt in this event, because there were people actually hurt in this event. So if it was staged, then all the more reason it should be investigated, because there were casualties. There were people who were, there was a fire chief that was killed, because he missed Trump and hit some, or whatever. And there are real people getting hurt by these things. So whatever's happening, whether it's a horrible, deranged kid who's, I mean, it's sad, but it's becoming a cliched story of a young white kid who is teased in school and gets a hold of an AR-15 and decides to do what he decides to do. I mean, the Trump assassination attempt was very much like a school shooting. Had this kid who had been bullied in high school didn't have his dad's AR-15, I think it was.
I think so.
Yeah, an AR-15. You're probably lucky it was an AR-15 because that skinny little 20-year-old kid probably couldn't even shoot it. It's probably the only reason he missed. And because it's too much of a gun for anybody unless you're trying to kill somebody. And obviously he was, but he missed. And what happens when a 20-year-old deranged kid decides to go to a Biden rally, or are we going to have rallies now until the election? Now that's going to be something that's a question. It's a crazy time because we're back into the tumultuous times like the 60s where our political leaders were assassinated, like Kennedy, like Robert Kennedy and Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. And it's a scary time to be in this political climate because like I said, January 6th is a boiling point.
Yeah,
it was the boiling point, and now we're dealing with the lava, and it's burning all over onto everything. From the fact that half of the Republican Congress is complicit in all of that, up to including some of them were giving tours on January 5th and 4th to the heads of the Proud Boys. I mean, it and it's on camera, but we haven't acknowledged it. We brush under the table, or we want to remain. The days of remaining cordial with political parties are done until these crazy people who throw tantrums until it's their way are gone. These bleach blonde, bad built butch bodies got to be brushed away.
Well, you briefly mentioned it. What I was thinking was because you had mentioned like back in the 60s when unfortunately we had political assassinations, we had MLK. What I'm wondering, like when you're thinking about like how far away, I think you said it was 150 yards away from that rooftop to get to Trump. I looked at it, I'm like, okay, well, back in the 60s when they're trying to figure out like the grassy knoll and all these other things, these different theories of like where the shooter was for the Kennedy assassination, that was decades ago, and we couldn't plan or like scour these potential spots for a shooter to be at to be able to do this. And even if there were guns that could get through metal detectors, this person wasn't checked. Like, I mean, what happened with all this other political stuff aside, just what did the Secret Service do or not do to prepare for this after 1969 or whatever it was, right? Like,
well, according to the coverage of it I was watching, it basically said that vicinity and that part of because it was off grounds of the event technically, so that the local police were involved, and that a local police person saw him climbed up the ladder that was right by where the shooter had set up to climb up and get to the roof, and climbed it up there, saw the shooter, and I guess rushed the shooter from doing what he was trying to do, and then was spotted by the opposite snipers that were set up for people like him, because they had the Secret Service had other snipers up there, like to fight or to combat that type of an attack, and that's why he was eliminated so fast, because he was taken up by those snipers. Apparently, this is not me. I didn't read the police report. I didn't. I'm just going by all the reports that I've been listening to because I knew we were going to talk about it today. But at the end of the day, I'm not sure. I don't know what really to make of it. I'm a little frightened of some of the imagery that's come out of it, because it's making Trump look, like the person that he's claiming to be, like this strong leader, dictator that, is bulletproof, and then you got she just dismissed the documents case. The judge in Florida. She just dismissed it. So, you know, in a lot of ways, she's just following the lead of the Supreme Court with the immunity. So now you're really talking about whether you want to have a dictator king who can ultimately decide to choose whether or not anybody lives or dies or whatever else, or can send out SEAL Team 6 to any of his political adversaries, including us, by the way, you know, um, and eliminate them, silence them, do whatever they need to do, and he'll face no repercussions.
Yeah, it'll
So
be okay.
there's no choice in this election. It's very easy, and that's why for me, all the talk about Biden stepping down or anything else, that's could we do it? For sure. Could there be a way to finagle it where Kamala becomes the top of the ticket? Of course. Has that ever been done before in our country? Like in the times that it has been done, what happened? When you go into an open convention, what happens? These aren't things that we want to, especially now, we just batten down the hatches, man, because it's like I was saying before, it is chaos or an agent of chaos versus, maybe status quo in a lot of ways, but the status quo has been working for the past 4 years because he got us back to status quo from that crazy pandemic. And if that's not something to be thankful for, I don't know what is, because those were some dark days 4 years ago. Need I remind everybody?
Yeah.
I mean,
It's so stupid we have to send these reminders, and every time we talk about it, it's always about like, did you guys forget? Like, I just don't understand. Like, do you remember the people that died and suffered because of this and how mishandled it was? Like, I don't get how we can forget so easily. Whereas every year, every September 11th, we say like, never forget. Okay, yeah, a lot of people died. It was horrible. It was a terrorist attack, but the pandemic was worldwide. People died. People suffered. Our frontline families, because a lot of them were Filipino, suffered through this, but also made things happen and better. But for some reason, just because it's 4 years later, it's like, oh, let's repeat history immediately and see what happens. Let's have the same fight and let's see what happens if we bring back someone who's now a convicted felon. See if things are better.
I can't I can't even, you're talking about a guy who is what can I don't want to use the wrong term, but he's been convicted of sexual assault or found guilty of sexual assault in a civil case with Eugene Carroll. He has basically delegitimized his whole business through tax fraud from the New York District Attorney's case, where he owes $400 million. And then even the bond company doesn't even have enough money to cover the bond that it was reduced to because of his privilege. And I don't even know where that is yet, because I don't know where that $150 million that he owes, or $400 million that he owes in tax fraud and business fraud to the New York state government, right? And then you got 34 convictions. This dude's a felon. Not one Republican has asked this guy to step down. After all, grab him by the pussy, all that stuff, they have stood by their man. And I'm not saying to blindly follow like a cult. I understand all the faults. I understand all the pitfalls that come with voting for Joe Biden and his age and his, fragility, as it looked like at the debate, and even all throughout some of the speeches. He still doesn't look like, I would agree with George Clooney in the sense that he's not the same dude that he was 4 years ago, but none of us are. We all age, we all go forward. And the thing about it is we go forward with the Biden Harris ticket, then guess what happens? If something were to happen to Joe Biden, Kamala Harris would assume office. And now we can talk about Trump's VP candidate, because if Kamala Harris is, one of the viable candidates for president after and if Joe Biden wins re-election, and we can hopefully assume that they're heirs. That's exactly what JD Vance is to Trump. He's 38 years old. He's a senator from Ohio. So he's basically trying to lock up Ohio to make sure, because if he loses Ohio in the presidential election, he's done. He knows he'll get Florida because that's where he's from. And, that's why he didn't pick Rubio. I think Burgum was way too. Montana doesn't have enough electoral votes, right? Is he Montana or South Dakota? I can't remember where Burgum's from.
South Dakota.
I thought Kristi Noem was South Dakota.
Yeah. I'm confusing the two.
But either way, I think in the case of Burgum, he's come from, even though he's a successful, rich business guy like Trump likes, he's not from a state that's of any consequence. He knows.
Burgum is North Dakota. Sorry.
There you go. But even in any case, Burgum is North Dakota, Noem is South Dakota. In both cases, Kristi Noem, we already know. Thank you for taking the dog thing. Oh, and by the way, also JFK Jr. Is it JFK? RFK? RFK Jr.? RFK Jr. He was talking about he wouldn't eat a dog either. So these crazy people, I just don't understand what would make people. But in the case of JD Vance, he scares the shit out of me. I'll be real. As a smart person who understands politics and understands how words are the most important part of politics and your most important weapons in politics. JD Vance went to Yale. He was a never Trumper in 2016 and then understood how to play the game. And now he was one of the biggest never Trumpers in 2016 with his Hillbilly Elegy book. And now he's flipped the script. He's a scary Republican. He's like a Tim Scott Republican. He's what's that dude from Florida? The black dude that just got in trouble for talking about how it was better during Jim Crow. Fat dude.
Yeah. Didn't we just talk about him?
Yeah, Brandon something. But either way, he knows better. You know what I'm saying? He knows better. JD Vance understands the game, and he understands the power vacuum that will be left after Trump, whether or not what happens, and him being the VP, whether or not we win in November, JD Vance is going to be a part of our lives, probably for us for the rest of our lives, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Because he's going to be a figure in conservative politics and a figurehead for them for a minute. And he's scary because he's devilishly smart in the way that he words everything and in the way that he can lie straight to your face, but make it sound so he's the one that I'm most scared of. And that's who he picked for VP.
Yeah. Because
all the other ones they're lightweights. JD Vance is he's very strategic in the way he's gone about everything. And he's been very methodical the way he's gone about everything. And it's been in a quick 2 years. So he's 2-3 years. We've seen this cat, and he's a very scary dude, in my opinion. And he's a
veteran. Again? He's a veteran.
No, I don't believe so.
Oh,
I don't believe so.
Oh, okay.
I don't believe so, but I could be wrong. I did some research on him, but the research that I did on him was mostly he had a movie about his book that he wrote, Hillbilly Elegy. He had a movie made about it, directed by Ron Howard. You know what I'm saying? He knows what he's doing, man. He's not an idiot like Trump. The only reason we know Trump's name is because his daddy had a lot of money, right? That's really the only reason we know half of these fools. That's part of why, all the stuff with Clinton, yeah, but we still didn't know who Clinton's daddy was. He's a man who made himself, right? Obama, same shit. Then look at the Republican side. I'm just gonna rest my case.
Yeah.
Once you had Reagan started this whole thing, right? 1980, that was a conservative movement. All the going for the all the Bible Belt Democrats with the conservative Christianity and all that stuff, right? And going after abortion and all this is all in the 80s. All this stuff started in the 80s. Then you got Reagan, then you had Bush, then you had Clinton. And I would say, to be honest, if you ask me, the only reason that we have Clinton is because of Mr. Arsenio Hall. To bring it back to pop culture, if Arsenio doesn't let Bill Clinton play saxophone on his show in the 90s, I do, because he was in third place. And it was the only reason he even did Arsenio in the first place. He was desperate to get some attention. And that moment changed politics because that was the first time I saw Bill Clinton. I was a kid. In high school, and I saw Bill Clinton playing saxophone on Arsenio, and I was like, yo, what?
Yeah.
I might want him to be president. And sure enough, he became president, ran 2 terms. And then you had another consequential election where what happened? We got into our heads. Al Gore and Bill Clinton didn't endorse Al Gore until it was too late, and all these other things like with Democrats where we fight amongst each other because one's smarter than the other and who's supposed to be smarter. And Al Gore lost in 2000. And who got elected twice after that?
Yeah.
Still a war criminal. I don't care how many paintings he paints. I don't care how many times he sits with Michelle Obama and she gives him a pound. I don't give a shit. He is a war criminal to me, and I will never, ever forgive him for the things that he did in the Iraq War, up to and including the memo that was on the fucking desk 2 weeks before 9/11 happened, and it said that Al Qaeda, the whole thing. You know what I mean? Like Katrina. Think about all the tragedies that have fallen upon this country and when they happened. They happened when people who were in charge that don't like the government. I don't understand why you would want to elect anybody whose main focus is saying, I don't like the government and we need to shrink the government. Well, then why the fuck do you want to be elected? Why do you want to work within it if you hate it so much?
Yeah.
It's never been, that's always been their argument. We're going to shrink the government, shrink the government, shrink the government. And it's always been an illogical argument in my political mind since Reagan. So here we are now. We got Project 25. We've got the Trump monster that this whole movement created, where he can be a convicted felon, indicted rapist, been on the Epstein list how many different times, called Jeffrey Epstein on his cell phone at 3 a.m. in the morning numerous times, wished Ghislaine Maxwell well during her court case. I mean, like, can we please told us that Vladimir Putin, well, he said he didn't do anything with the election, and he strongly denied it, and I don't know. Can we please open our eyes, because there isn't a choice this election at all. I don't understand it, and I don't think I'll ever understand it. But I kind of want to end on a high note, because I feel like The Boys, the TV show The Boys, if you're not watching it on Amazon Prime, you guys catch up and watch season 1, 2, and 3, and then watch season 4, because season 4 is so poignant to the time that's going on right now. It's like if superheroes were living in our America right now, and it's such a trip to watch. And I know every day they were like, oh my God, it's so woke. And I'm like, yeah, it is. And I love it because I'm woke too. Because I'm going to try and take that word back on this podcast, at least. Being woke is a good thing.
Yeah.
Being awake is a good thing. Being aware of other people and other people's being empathetic to other people's plights and other people's, things that they might be offended by, and being aware of and trying to be a nice person and being empathetic is a good thing. So I'm woke. I'm woke as fuck. I like that shit, and I'll embrace it till the day that I die. That's bullshit, and it's the same. The only arguments that conservatives really have is semantics. Semantics and whataboutism. It's not hard to debate when those are the only two tactics you really have.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and you can tell me different if you'd like, but I can, unless you're, that's my whole thing with this podcast, is let's just tell the truth. Let's look at the whole situation. Really look at the whole situation. And what would Spock do? I know I try to tend to favor James Kirk, but I like to think more of myself as logically thinking like Mr. Spock. Because that the thing at the end with at the end of Wrath of Khan, where he talks about the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one. Like, I've known and memorized that line since I heard it when I was like 10 years old, when I saw that movie in 1983, because that is logically the only way you can have a good society. And maybe we have to be like more Vulcan in our way of thinking, but but really, the needs of the many outweigh the few or the one. If we wouldn't have billionaires in our society if that was part of our political thinking when it came to things. Jeff Bezos wouldn't be allowed to shoot his penis rocket up in the sky, and Elon Musk surely wouldn't be able to purchase Twitter for $46 billion, devalue it, and make it his own little racist playground for him and his buddies. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. And so, for me, there's no choice. I feel bad that homie got shot in the ear. I will try and that's about as much empathy as I can give that dude, because he's caused so much harm and so much chaos to our society that it's just him reaping what he sowed. That's what happened this weekend. The only thing now that I'm scared about is that, if it was happenstance that he got elected in 2016, he learned how to do it, and he knows who to pick. JD Vance knows damn good and well who he's the vice president to, and he's doing that because he knows what that will give him. That Trump Vance ticket, and that Vance on that ticket is going to be the future of the Republican Party, and I'm terrified of it, to be honest. I'm terrified because I'm scared. Not that they will win, but they've laid the groundwork that maybe it's not Project 2025, but it might be Project 2029 or Project 2035 or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like it
yeah, they have a future.
They're not going to go away if they lose in November. They're here to stay, and this is going to be a constant fight for a long time. And so you guys should really, maybe if you want a logical, truthful, poignant conversation about politics and pop culture, maybe you should subscribe to Miscellaneous and Brown, because I feel like we had a really good discussion about these crazy things, and I didn't even say anything crazy that would get me canceled. I'm really happy about that, Chris. You should do that. That's why you're like my cancel coach. Make sure that I don't say shit that I'm gonna say stupid.
It's progress. You did it. I think we're good. There's always the editing function. I know you. I love that this is just published raw, so we're good. But if we did get to that point, I'd be. Can you here's some time codes I need you to check out and remove magically, but we haven't had to do that because this is straight, this is honest, this is, a real discussion. This is what, we should be about, be able to say this and cancel or not. I mean, it comes from a place of knowing your values and your perspective. It comes from a place that's passionate about the many and not just the few, like you said, right? And when you're driven by that, and when you know that what woke is, what good is, this is where it's all coming from, and not hatred or anger or inciting violence, because that's what the other side is. And so you need something like us to be able to balance that out. So.
And there you go. See, no better way to close this podcast out in episode 21 of Miscellaneous and Brown. I am Eric Esteban.
It's Chris Mateo.
And yo, guys, please like, comment, subscribe, because, the only way that we can beat this algorithm is if you share, like, and comment. And shout out to the comment that said, I love it that there are people of color talking about politics, and I love that you would like to hear our perspectives. So shout out to the people making comments. Shout out to everybody writing reviews. Keep doing it. Keep helping us get the word out there, and we'll be back next Monday with another Miscellaneous and Brown take on politics and pop culture. Peace, y'all.
Later.
Look at the way she make the thing go. Make it gyrate, make it shake like tectonic plates. That's what you call an earthquake. Ayy. Make it gyrate, make it shake like tectonic plates. That's what you call an earthquake. Ayy. It's summertime, starting up a heat wave, and now all weekend, hardly slept in 3 days. Whoever's driving the car's the DJ. When it's Q, you better pump that bass. The dominance is obvious, I guillotine, heads roll, everywhere I go I rep Philippines. Found my way, turn amaze to amazing. Infinite flows discovered in an ancient spaceship. I see things before they happen, visionary. Bury me inside a studio at the cemetery. My modus operandi not monetary. Noah Lazarus, the holy one out the monastery. So let me see your cue, plus the why, that's the crew. I'm a giant, how I grew, still connected to my roots. Rhymes, I kick it like Bruce, got me feeling like Zeus. Standing tall like Manu, to reach this level need a boost. I don't think you want any problems, but you got one, here we go. You can see the size is colossal. Look at the way she make the thing go. Make it gyrate, make it shake like tectonic plates. That's what you call an earthquake. Ayy. Make it gyrate, make it shake like tectonic plates. That's what you call an earthquake. Ayy. Smoother than Brazilian wax, that's interact. My life a cinematic reflection in the mirror max. With the pros, I'm proliferating. She said my syntax sounds so scintillating. Flavormatics on the beat, savory. Being scared, still doing it, that's bravery. Hunger turn us into savages. Ain't nobody give us nothing, had to do it alone, without a loan. Like Norfolk, Queens, Aquafina had the shell toe. Adidas used to hang with the drug dealers. Been doing this since cassette tapes in my Walkman, writing rhymes on the subway. Traditions I carry on, hip-hop scholar, mastered in the street science. Raw diamonds I refine them with the stars in alignment. Got the youth to the truth. On the tree of knowledge, squeeze forbidden fruit and made it juice. I don't think you want any problems, but you got one, here we go. You can see the size is colossal. Look at the way she make the thing go. Make it gyrate, make it shake like tectonic plates. That's what you call an earthquake. Ayy. Make it gyrate, make it shake like tectonic plates. That's what you call an earthquake. Ayy. I just wanna dance all night, wanna dance all night, wanna dance all night with you. I just wanna dance all night, wanna dance all night, wanna dance all night with you.